Hey, well, welcome to the Dream Lab. It's Dr. Contrast Live. I hope everybody's doing well. Just thought I'd take a moment today and give you a little bit of an oversight and do some really rapid little thumbnail sketches on little handheld mini vacs. Kind of an interesting challenge in a way because it's a very simple set of circumstances shape-wise, but there might be some nice little things we do ergonomically to put some pieces together. We'll just lay in some what I refer to as some really rapid ideation sketches. So we'll just put some pencil work, go through a series of those in study form, and then maybe the last couple of sketches convert over to some digital conversion. Take one of the sketches or one of the themes and put it on the iPad and see what it might look like when you go to a digital process. So let's kind of start with just kind of, as you well know, when I begin to do some of these sketches, even their ideation, for example, I always like to think in terms of building the structure. So I always go through a series of just going through some line weights here, just kind of break down the form just a touch, just get some shape in here, just kind of break it through a touch, and just put some very simple little forms in place here. Again, just starting very, very loosely with a series of just gestures. I think that's really critical. I'm not really trying to really confine anything yet. We're just kind of looking at some things that might kind of change pace, little changes of pace in through here. And right away, there's a nice little elevation study just based on what we're talking about in terms of just putting an ideation together. Now, maybe it's handheld underneath and so forth, a little bit of a thumb grip area here. But just little hand belts. These mini vacs are very, very popular, and I think especially in the automotive world, for example, looking for cleaning systems and cleaning up the machines. Put a little bit of tone underneath this thing, see what it does. Just got a little recess area here. Get that into place and put a little bit of tone in this. A little bit more of an accent line in through here. Let this piece go a little more transparent, so a little more reflection. And into here, there's a little bit of an on-off switch up on top, so we'll kind of tune that in. And just take a little bit of this and run it right through and just get a little bit of a core to go through this guy. So there's a basic little correct gesture. First pass. Same basic gesture. Let's kind of take that same process here. A little more dramatic with the form here. I mean, it's a little bit thinner. And then this form comes in and maybe breaks into this. A little bit more geometric. And a secondary form comes off of this and just kind of a little bit more organic piece up on top. Kind of a little combination of two. Now let's break it. And break it again. That's where it might come apart, for example, for cleaning and the like. Let's put it together. Hey, hi, Chip. How are you? Thanks for joining on board here today. I'm just going to go through some real rapid little concept sketches on some little mini vacs, some handheld things. Some maybe 12 to 14 inches in length. Small portable pieces we kind of work with, and then maybe convert some of these little theme sketches into a digital process near the end of the broadcast here. So good to have you on board. How have you been? Good. Just kind of put this in place here. Again, a little bit of tone underneath here. Give a little bit of weight to it. Let's go back in through here and change that just a touch. Maybe that wraps over the top. A little more transparency in this thing. Surface break here. And there it is right there. It's going to put this. Neat, I got chocolate. I'm good. All right. And again, a little bit of tone underneath here just to kind of put some process into it. So a little bit of contour and shape. Follow that little contour line we've got there to break it underneath. That finishes that up. Now another little tweak here. There's another appendage piece that comes in, goes back to plastic again, and this becomes part of the nozzle that gets into the cleaning system here. Put a little bit of tone in this, put a little shadow into this guy. Just really fast little theme sketches, looking for a shape or a form to kind of work with here. Let's kind of go back again, same horizontal elevation. A little bit more, much more stealth-like. Again, a little nozzle piece at the end here. Shape underneath, put a bit of tone to it. Accent brake. Accent brake. This might be a little more transparent here, so we have a little more sky tone into this thing. Nice little light combination. Separate a little bit more. A little bit of handle graphic, a little bit of dimension in this thing. That's where you grip it. And a little change of pace up on top. There's a nice little speed form right there. Just a nice little handheld back. Just 3 variations on the theme there to kind of just gives us started some elevation studies of what these guys might look like in terms of gripping, handling, and so forth. And again, as stated earlier in the process, maybe they're about 12 to 14 inches in length. Small little mini pieces we can work with here. So let's just kind of start there. There's one phase there, and we're just going to go. What I want to do is establish a set of maybe fabricated shapes and the like that we kind of work with, and then we can convert one of these guys into maybe a little digital piece on an iPad here before we end the program here. So bear with me here. We'll kind of keep at it, and so let's kind of go back in. Much more chiseled. Let's go back and get a lot more geometric with this thing. Here it comes up. And it's just a good old-fashioned handle system here. And it's just really quick. Just a nice, simple change of pace here across the top of that form. And a little bit of a recess underneath for grip purposes. And maybe it's just that simple. You know, just a nice little change of pace, a bit of roundness underneath this. Give some crown and a resting spot. And again, this is all, let's get that nozzle in place here. Just very quick. Very spontaneous, but at the same time, as we said in the beginning of the presentation here, just looking for exploratory shape. Let's bring this around here. More glass. And then the form here. A little recess here. A little trigger spot here. On-off switch up on top, the power of the switching. Again, very quick, but again, there's a lot of character in terms of putting form together, and I think that's one of the things I really enjoy about the ideation process, is exploring what shape and geometry we do with very simple building blocks. If you notice, a lot of these sketches are built off of the fundamentals we've talked about in the past in the drawing process, and that is, you know, the idea of the geometric solids. For example, you can come back in with something that's very spherical. Let's change the pace here for a bit. I come off of that sphere with a conical form. And into that, a place to grip this thing. And you've got a whole different look. I mean, the variety is infinite, and we all know that, but I think just the idea of working with just basic geometry and exploring what can be done with that is always intriguing to me. Let's kind of come back in here. Again, handle. Bit of an unconventional form here, but nonetheless, if it's compact enough, it could be kind of interesting. This whole spherical piece could be a very interesting little modular system for cleaning and so forth, and for vacuum purposes. And again, just little things like this, adding some detail and concept to it. You know, just again, changing the paradigm, getting away from some of the conventional or the knowns. I don't know. I think it's extremely worthwhile to just break some of the molds sometime. If it ain't broke, break it, and just have some fun with this thing. Just come back in again. Put a bit of the handle piece together. Maybe that's a bit too bulky. Maybe we'll come back in again, same spherical shape, but we change the form just a bit and go a little bit more of that, elliptical. Now we come out of this with that same kind of thrust, but reverse it. Bring it back in and just change a little bit of the shape in through here. There we go. How quickly that can come together by just allowing yourself to explore some of the freedom in the forms. And again, instead of having a grip on it, maybe this whole thing comes along and just putting a section to it, has a little bit of recess, where you actually grip it with thumb and hand on the other side, and it changes the character of the entire form. I'll put a bit of tone to this thing. Let's a little bit of reverse here. This can come back in, put a little bit of shadow into this thing, where the hand grip is. Again, into the nozzle. Little insert piece here. And again, in the glass surface, and maybe there's a line here, for example, that shape comes around, and this whole piece, this engages to be able to be cleaned and so forth or emptied once it's used. little more line thrust in here. A little more tone, just a little bit here. There's a little bit of a ledge here that comes out, comes around this form, and just picks it up like so. And the plan view is kind of interesting. Again, pick up that little recess in here. It's really quick little thumbnail sketches here. And take that in the shape itself. A little bit more organic. Maybe this has a little recess up on top. And it comes back and you grip it, and then it comes right out of here, and there's your split line. All of a sudden, a whole new look. Pardon me again, is how to put this shape together. There's little vacs. There's a little recess for hand area. For palm grip up on top, and this is all transparent. Little plan view study here. On that center line, all of a sudden, a very different look altogether. Well, excuse me. So there's phase 2. Let's keep going with this, just exploring some shapes here. Just have some fun with this stuff to kind of move through the process. And what these guys are beginning to do here. Maybe finger pits like bowling. Yeah, that could do it as well, Chip. You know, just kind of finger pits instead of being so. Just let's go back in that round form again. Maybe it's just a case of getting a pattern where you go 1, 2, 3, 4, and it becomes part of the hand grip. Good call there, Chip. Kind of neat. And then you come back out of this thing. A little more of a conventional handle shape. Open that up just a bit. Tone here. I'm going to bring that shape right through. That's interesting. Let's get these guys to read a little bit too. Just recesses, like you said there, Chip. Little just bowling ball trips, just little finger areas here. And you grip it like so. It's a finger on one side and thumb on the other. So that might be kind of a neat little look at here. So that's an interesting concept there, Chip. Thank you. A little more crown up on top here. Take that right on through near the handle. A bit of a break line here. Maybe that's a little bit more texture change to it back here. Just breaking it up just a little bit more. Again, just neat little things happening within this form. Let's just take that in. And again, maybe the nozzle switch here, the insert piece, has more of that look to it. Maybe it has more of a grip system, almost like a pistol grip, where this shape just kind of blends into that. There we go. That's interesting. Just kind of roll that through, break that up a bit, offset this just a touch, and this comes in. And this pistol grip could be interesting. So now you've got almost like this little recess in here. Let's change the pace here. Let's get that guy. See what that does. Look how lucid that becomes. Just a nice little shape change. popular for a reason. They're very effective. Yeah, they are very effective. They're easier to grip than on the hand putting through it and so forth. You're right, Chip. So there it is. Again, a bit of a change here of pace. Just kind of roll in a little bit more of a surface here to kind of deal with. Get this line weight to kind of come through a little bit bolder into that grip area. A bit of an overhead, changing just a bit. There's a little landing area underneath here. Real quick little perspective gesture. You won't see much of that handle in this second here. Just enough of that underneath to kind of give a little bit more dimension. And back out again. A bit of a different connection here. Interesting. Just that it comes underneath and then handle, and there's the actual that comes around and that comes in. Gives you this handle portion here. Put more of that bullet on that end. There you are. That's pretty extreme surface there. They kind of click underneath their pistol grips. Yeah, I gotcha. A little bit of background work to knock that thing out just a bit. Surface detail. Again, some of the rounder shapes here, just working with it here. There's third page here. We're just going to crack through some really fast little thumbnail sketches here on what these things might look like. A bit of overhead here. Part of the grip. Maybe that's a cleaning receptacle that just kind of unsnaps and you're going to clean it from having to come underneath it, and that's it. There we are here. A little bit different texture up on top here. A bright line underneath. Clean receptacle. Maybe that's where the clip is here. You kind of unsnap that. And then there it is. There's a pistol grip. A little bit of perspective overhead, just like a 1 point. Just kind of take a look at what it might look like overhead. Basic construction here. Now let's build it just a bit. Now let's come back in and just build this handle. Let's bring it in just a bit. And take it underneath. And let's get this guy to just roll in inside here. There's handle. Over the top of the shape. Now let's go back and get this guy a little quicker. Let's take this right on through. And the receptacle underneath. Just kind of foreshorten it just a bit. Surface underneath. Put a tone change up on top. Let it fade a little bit. A little overhead 3/4 on this guy. Those would be sweet laser guns. Sorry, yeah, they would be. Maybe we can do a whole program on that. Chip's gonna do some phaser gun stuff, which would be kind of fun to do here. Just gotta get a little bit of pace over here. Again, one more time, a little more gesture in this guy. There we go, a little elevation study here. Let that go through. And surface change underneath. Let's just break this up just a touch here. And get this to kind of roll here just for a second. Pardon me here. 1, 2, little hand grip back there. More detail change underneath. A bit of highlight on top of this guy. Surface plastic, maybe it's a little more of a power switch. And the actual area there. Maybe there's a little bit of a different twist to it, but it's got that kind of a nozzle that just kind of snaps in at about 45 degrees off the normal, or 60 degrees, and that becomes part of the cleaning apparatus. So let's take that on in. Different ways of just breaking down a shape, these little mini back handheld pieces. Just fun to work with in terms of laying down some very quick little studies. So it's a pretty good pass of just looking at some basic thumbnails. In review here, I think we're looking for things that are just so, not so much so busy, but just something that's interesting to kind of look at in terms of developing a new form, some new shapes. Let's go back and look at some of these guys. That was the one we just completed. Back to some of these very rounder forms, a little bit of different shape to a little bit restrictive back here, but nonetheless, just again, looking for an idea, just a contour. Second phase we did was this guy, where we just came back in and changed the paradigm a little bit, going to a much rounder, more spherical look. Plan view, elevation, again, this elevation, I think that's probably the strength. Again, the Soldier series, where you really begin to look at what the actual form is starting to do and how to bring all these geometric shapes together. And I think, as I said earlier, a lot of these sketches are really built on the understanding or the use of, or the employment of the 5 basic solids. And again, it's so critical, for example, breaking down the conical shapes, circular shapes, conical shapes, again, can change variations so quickly, and I think that's a nice thing about working with the geometric solids. It keeps them very clean and simple, but at the same time, there's a logic to them. There's an understanding of how to begin to illustrate the final sketches that you deal with here. So this is the second, third phase, And the last phase we just finished up here, just again looking at a different overall form. That could be kind of neat in the plan view. Let's just add what's just in the plan view. It's just almost like an almond shape, very round. Then back it off here. We just pull this back just a bit. And underneath that shelf, which would be here, is where that grip is. So it's on center line right about in there, underneath the piece. Then it just comes back and rolls out again to a very simple form like so. And it has a little bit of a chisel up front. But the beauty of it is, down the center line, now we take this shape and just break it back into, there it is there. And there it is there. Just a very simple, but again, very melodic. And then just putting a bit of tone to it. It's not much there as far as being dramatic. It's just a nice simple shape that we've dealt with here. It's just going to break it into plan view just a bit here. There's the plan view look down on top of this whole surface. And we just changed a little bit of the character up on top, more of this look here. Down the center line, and then just begin to tone it away. A little bit lighter as we move away from that light source. Again, that's what it looks like in the plan view. Very simple, but again, functional, because again, you're gripping it back here, and it doesn't have a whole lot of character to it, but it has a lot of just simple substance, and I think that's really the important part of this whole process. Looking at it, put together simplicity here. So let's kind of go back here and look at this for a second. Go through one more pass here. We'll just keep them nice and simple. Maybe it's just a gesture that goes back to elevation here. Just a nice, there's my center line there. Let's just break this up a little bit. Maybe just a simple little shape like this. In the end, there's a barrel to it. That stays nice and simple. There's a little bit of a recess underneath there for grip. That's it. And then again, just a nice little tone of pace here. Maybe that's all it takes. Gripping it, removing pace here. And then that becomes part of the cleaning apparatus. Just the vacuum system. Let's get a little quicker with this guy here. Very simple. But again, and we'll just put a little bit of a recess in this guy. Maybe a thumb grip on top, and just a little bit of the power source up on top of here. And just nice line studies here. Maybe a variation on a theme. Maybe a little bit more break to it. Maybe it has this look to it. And that forms a pistol grip. But it has the same overall look. Maybe that's a little bit softer here. Maybe that does. That's interesting. Rolls back in. Form this hand grip here. Comes out of it. A little bit more crown up on top here. Break it off. And again, follow through. There's the axis. Up and right through. It's a little clumsy back in through here. Let's kind of clarify that. Back to highlight. A bit of a fracture break here. Simple form. Take it right through the shape. And take your piece here, chip. Maybe it's got a little bit of this to it as well. Maybe that curls back on itself and does that. This grows out of it. And we have a little bit of this going on too. A bit of an area here where you've got 1, 2, 3 finger grip in terms of the grip underneath it as well. So interesting. I mean, just keeping it nice and fluid here. Let's go back to something that's, maybe it stands upright. What does it look like if you change character here? Going vertical with it. Little soft grip piece here underneath it. Cleaning tip. Again, maybe this now comes back in and forms a little parabolic curve up on top here. Now, what does that look like if you go the other way here? A bit of tone and a bit of body roll in this thing. This little upper scallop, maybe there's an end cap on this guy that kind of separates it just a bit. Battery use or whatever could be injected into that. And a little dart up on top here where the hand grip is. Underneath. Again, notice, very simple form, but nonetheless having some real resonance about it. Something that'd be kind of interesting to grip and to work with. Keeping it very small and compact is the whole idea here. So let's go back to this. Now let's see what happens here. We switch some of these guys over and begin to look at some of the digital stuff here. Just gotta pick maybe a compare. Let me see if I can get my iPad out here. Excuse me, losing a little bit of my voice here. Let me get this cranked up. And we'll see if we do a little bit of transition work here. Let's bring up a little bit of Sketchbook Pro and see if this is going to work for us. So get that shadow out of the way here, and if that's going to work at all or not. Some Jetsons vibes in here. Yeah, it'll be interesting. Here we go. Let's see if we can kind of get this thing to go. Where am I here? Get this up again. I've got a lot of lighting overhead in the studio here. I hope it doesn't begin to interfere with the little sketch work we're going to deal with here. Let's see if I can bring it in just enough to make it work. Here we are. How's that? It's going to be work okay, gang? Let's see what that does. New sketch. Let's create it. Let's see what happens with it here. Getting a lot of reflection off of the light, so pardon me here as I just look at what we've got here. There it is. A little bit of pencil sketch first here. Let me turn this up just a bit so I can kind of take the glare out of it. There we go. A bit of airbrush in here. Change tone just a bit. Get a little bit of blue sky in here. Back to a little bit of tone change again into the shadows. Back to a little bit of drawing definition. Right, I kind of switch gears here. Like the airbrush, just a touch here. And a little bit of color added here. Let's do this. A little bit of body color in here. There we are. And let's go back and put more tone up on top here. That's deeper. A little more reflection. Indication back here. Back to pencil, just a little touch here. A little crisper. Let's get that guy to go down just a bit here. Scale wise, a little looser. Let's put a little bit of flair in this thing now. Let's go back up on top, just work back and forth. A little more drama in this guy. Again, just really quick little theme studies here, guys. Transferring over to the digital world here just a bit, see what happens with it. Not bad. I'm going to tone back into that grip. Real lucid little sketches here. Let's kind of do this. Got some speed lines in this guy for cooling and the like. There's a couple little passes right there, gang. What do you think? Copic marker iPads. So the iPad, yeah, good deal. Super, super. Let's go back and let's save this thing here. Go to another sketch. And let's go to gallery. Yeah, we want to save this guy. There you go. Cool. And there it is. Oh, let's go back here and we'll get another one started here. Let's do this. Nope, don't want to do that. New sketch. Definitely create it. Let's go back in and just pick up some of this. Let's see what this is here. Let's get that nice. Let's see if we can get that. One thing I really noticed about this thing too, it's a little bit on the, a little bit difficult to deal with is the pencil sometimes. You know, because of the tip on this pencil, you don't get a real good crisp line. And I'll show you what I mean. Let's come back up here and just bring it down to a minimum here. Let's go a little deeper with some of this stuff here. See if we can look at it. Just a nice simple shape here. Yeah, see what happens? Unless you come right up on top of the tip, there it is. You just can't get a lot of lean in this thing. Let's get rid of this guy just for a minute here. Let's kind of take this out of it. A little more fluid with this thing. Back to pencil. That's better. Keep it nice and simple. Line thrust. Back to airbrush again. Bring it down just a bit in scale. A little deeper with it. There we are. And more core in this thing. Little recess. Little recess. Nice little value study here to begin with here. So we can get a little more, a little bit more hotspot up into this guy here. Let's erase some of that out of there. That's better. A couple of speed lines in there to kind of flatter it. A bit more highlighting through here. A little form change underneath it. And again, a cut line to where that nozzle might occur. Probably I turn this thing around a little bit here. There it is. And a little bit of highlight right through there. So there's a couple of real fast little theme sketches here, guys, on some of this stuff. You'd be better off with a professional drawing tablet. Those pads are meant for it. Marks, I haven't used the iPad, but on the Cintiq PC, there are some settings that allow sharper line. Yeah, I think you're right. I've got a Cintiq as well, guys, and it's a much sharper image in terms of getting the lines to kind of coordinate a little bit here. I don't know what it is. I've always noticed that about the pencil system here. Let's try it again here, just out of curiosity. That happens with this guy.
We started on that. We have an i5 that we used to do it with i5, which is pretty old, and I think so. Yeah, we will have it. We'll recommend. Yeah, we'll recommend. Yeah, but typically we do recommend.
Get some real quick definition in here and come back with a little bit of tone underneath it. Yeah, there we go. Pardon me. There we go. That better? We get a little bit of reflection. There it is. Some little mini vac studies. Let's get a little bit of color in this thing, just enough to. Let's see what happens here with this guy. There you go. A bit of tone in it. Let's go a little bit deeper with that. Just a touch more. About right in there. There you go. Bring that through. Put a glass up in this guy too. So a bit more of that. Back to some pencil definition here. A little deeper in there. There's a couple of gestures there, okay? Just some elevation studies here. Art meant for it. Looking sharp, Doc. Hey, Chip 7, art meant for it. Sorry. Let's get back to pencil here. And let's go back to gallery. Let's see if we can save this guy. There we are. It's just side by side here. Let's take a look at what we've got here. There's the first pass we did right there, guys. Not bad. Just a little thumbnail sketch on looking at some very simple shapes. Let's go back and look at the next one we've got here. That's the last one we just did. Just a couple of value studies on looking at basic form breakup and shape and the like. Not bad at all. Pardon me again. Let's go back to gallery here. Let's try one more shot here. Let's go back to this guy. New sketch. Let's try a little bit of pen work here, see what that does. Let's go value-wise first. Let's bring this down just a little bit here. Let's see what this starts to do here. Pardon me as I just gotta bring this back. That's a little better. That's a little better, a little cleaner.
Pivot.
Let's go back here just for a moment. What do you think, gang? Just some real experimental stuff on this iPad thing. Pretty interesting. It's a lot of fun to work with here. Some basic gestures.
say that we were totally impressed with it, and so they're not using it right now. They're not using it right now.
And there we go again. There's a whole family of little form studies here on just putting those some digital stuff. But it has a car. Yeah, it's a lot blurrier. It really does. And it's funny how that noticed the same thing, Chip, and I work with this thing. iPad's okay, but I think my Cintiq is a lot crisper, and I think I'll start planning bringing my Cintiq into the office here, kind of work with. It's a large one. I've got that large 30-inch board, so it's pretty tough to work with in terms of lighting in there. So, but at least we're giving a little bit of shot of making the comparisons here. Let's lay this down just for a second here, and get this out of the way. And looking at some of the, for example, some of the comparisons between these guys. So I can move this down just a bit here. And then see if we can kind of get it still in the picture plane. There it is. And again, with just some of the little traditional sketches side by side. Just a little experiment here, going from one discipline to another here. And I thought it would be kind of fun to just look at that and go through the lineage of some of the sketches here and then kind of converting the traditional hand sketch into a little digital series of studies. So let's go back and look at what we've got here as far as those guys go, just for what it's worth. Let's go back to gallery. Save the sketch, yes. Let's go back and look at what we've got here. So we had this guy we just finished with. There it is, just finished that one up. Then we switched gears and we did that guy, a little value study here. And then the last one we did, the first one we did was that, just a nice little calm set of circumstances here to work with. Vaseline with the glass. Yeah, it looks like there is Vaseline. I think what I'm going to start to do is get maybe a screen protector or a matte surface on top of this so it's much more of a paper feel. Excuse me, boy, something with my voice. That might take some of the blurriness out of this thing that we're looking at here. So really appreciate your input there, Chip. Good stuff. There looks like there's Vaseline over the glass. Okay, so let's kind of do this. Is that better or not? That's it. No. Let's see what that does. I'm just trying to keep, there's a lot of glare overhead here. Notice what happens when I shift it into the light source. I'm picking up the overhead lighting, so I'm trying to shift it off to one side here. So all that to say, gang, thanks so much for tuning in today. I really appreciate the effort, and I thought we did a little transition between conventional sketch and then a little bit of hand sketch rather than into a digital phenomenon. Just a real loose little gesture sketches to kind of get that iPad active. And in time, I think I'll start bring my Cintiq in there, change the lighting system a little bit, and start getting a little more definitive. With some of the sketches we'll work with and making comparisons from handcrafted and maybe the transfer into the digital world. So thank you for your patience. I hope this has been helpful to you, and I really appreciate you taking the time to tune in here. And I've enjoyed it. I think it's been a nice little transition time here to put this thing together. Let's get that guy back in place. And that's that. And we'll look forward to maybe seeing you tomorrow, and we'll pick up a little different subject matter. We might go the same route with a little bit of conventional sketch and into the digital phenomena a little bit, so we can kind of get this thing to work. And then eventually, the plan is to get my big Cintiq board in here. Once we get the lighting thing figured out, we can transfer it from one to the other. So been fun. Hey, thanks very much, Chip. Have a great day. And to all of you out there, thanks so much for taking the time. Jeff, if you're still there, Jeff Marcus, thanks very much. Great to have you on board here today. Hope you're doing well. And last but not least, if I've done something right here today, please tell me. If I've done something wrong, please tell me. And again, if you have any ideas about what you want to work with or what you'd like me to see me put together some sketch rendering work on or some theme work on, feel free to contact me at my email address at jim@drcontrast.com. And I'd be more than happy to comply and work with some things you would like to see me tackle and do. And last but not least, I always, in my streams and my programs with this, I think it's really important. And it's really how I feel about working with you that I respect enormously. And thank you for tuning in. It's as simple as this. Never forget to remember to dare to be great. Thanks so much, gang. Have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow at 4 o'clock or 4:30. Thanks so. Take care. Bye-bye.